Prabhu ke milite sabara utkanta antare sigra kari aile sabe Shri Lila chale. Everyone in the party was very anxious at heart to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore they hastily went on to Jagannath Puri. Yes, devotees going from Bengal to Jagannath Puri to see the Lord. Atarana laki aila goshanai suniya dumala pataila govinda haitadiya. When they all arrived at a bridge called Ataranala, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, hearing the news of their arrival, sent 2 garlands with Govinda. Who are the 2 garlands for? Yes. Who was the head of the devotees coming from Bengal? Yes, 2 garlands for them. Dumala Govinda Dui Jana Parila Advaita Avaduta Gosai Bada Sukha Paila. Govinda offered the 2 garlands to Advaita Charya and Nityananda Prabhu, and they both became very happy. Tahani Aramba Kaila Krishna Sankirtana Nachite Chali Aila Dui Jana. Indeed, they began chanting the holy name of Krishna on that very spot. And in this way, dancing and dancing, Advaita Charya and Nityananda Prabhu reached Jagannath Puri. Punamaladiya Srupadi Nijagana Agubade Paitala Sachira Nandana. Then for the second time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sent garlands through Srup Damodar and other personal associates. Thus they went forward, sent by the son of Mother Sachi. Narendra Ashishitahan Sabare Malila Mahaprabhura Data Mala Sabare Paraila. When the devotees from Bengal reached Lake Narendra, Swarup Damodar and the others met them and offered them the garlands given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Shimadvara Nikate Aila Suni Goraraya Apana Ashiya Prabhu Milila Sabaya. When the devotees finally reached the Lion Gate, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard the news and personally went to meet them. Sabalana Kaila Jagannatha Darshana Sabalana Aila Puna Apanapavana. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all his devotees visited Lord Jagannath. Finally, accompanied by them all, he returned to his own residence. Vaninatha Kashi Mishra Prashada Anila Swahasta Sabara Prabhu Prashada Kolaya. Vaninath Rai and Kashi Mishra then brought a large quantity of prasadam, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu distributed it with his own hand and fed them all. Purvavatsarayana ye vasastana tahan sabha patana karila vishrama. In the previous year, everyone had his own particular residence, and the same residences were again offered. Thus, they all went to take rest. E mata bhakta gana rahila charimasa prabhura sahita kare kirtana vilasa. For 4 continuous months, all the devotees remained there and enjoyed chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Purvavat Rata Yatra Kaila Yava Aila Sabalana Gundichya Mardina Paksalila. As in the previous year, they all washed the Gundicha temple when the time for Ratha Yatra arrived. Kurina Gramapati Dore Jagannatha Dila Purvavat Rata Agre Nartana Karila. The inhabitants of Kulina Gram delivered silken ropes to Lord Jagannath, and as previously, they all danced before the Lord's car. Bahur Nitya Karipuna Chalila Udyane Papitara Tahanyari Karila Vishrame. After dancing a great deal, they all went to a nearby garden and took rest beside a lake. Radhi Eka Viprateho Nityananda Dasa Mahabhagyavanateho Nama Krishna Das. A Brahmin named Krishna Das, who was a resident of Radhadesh and a servant of Lord Nityananda's, was a very fortunate person. Gatabari Prabhu Reteho Abhisheka Kaila Tanra Abhisheka Prabhu Mahatripta Haila. It was Krishnadas who filled a great water pot and poured it over the Lord while he was taking his bath. The Lord was greatly satisfied by this. Balangandi Bogera Bahu Prashada Aila Sabasanga Mahaprabhura Prashada Kaila. The remnants of food offered to the Lord at Balagandi then arrived in great quantity, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all his devotees ate it. Purvavat Rata Yatra Kaila Darshana Hira Panchami Yatra Deki Lana Bhaktagana. As in the previous year, the Lord with all the devotees saw the Rata Yatra festival and the Hira Panchami festival as well. Acharya Gosinai Prabhura Kaila Ni Mantrana Taramadya Kaila Yacha Jada Varishana. Advaitacharya then had extended an invitation to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and there was a great rainstorm connected with that incident. Vistari Varyachina Dasa Vrindavana Shivas Prabhu Tada Kaila Ni Mantrana. Okay, so let's read text 56. Vistari Varyachina Dasa Vrindavana Vistari Varyachena Dasa Vrindavanam Shrivas Prabhu Tabakaila Nimantrana Vistari Varyachena Dasa Vrindavan Shrivas Prabhu Tabakaila Nimantrana Vistari Varyachena Dasa Vrindavan Shrivasa Prabhu Tabakaila Nimantrana Vistari Varyachena Dasa Vrindavan Shivas Prabhu Retaya Kaila Nimantra
Vistari Varyachena Dasa Vrindavan
Vistari Varyachena Dasa Vrindavan
Shivasa Prabhu Retaya Kaila Nimantra
Shivas Prabhu Retaya Kaila Nimantra Vistari Varyachena Dasa Vrindavan Shivasa Prabhu Retaya Kaila Nimantra
Vistari Varyachena Dasa Vrindavan
Vistari Varyachena Dasa Vrindavan Shivasa Prabhu Retaya Kaila Nimantra Vistari elaborating Varyachena has described Dasa Vrindavan Vrindavan Das Thakur Srivas Prabhure to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Tabe then Kaila Nimantrana gave an invitation. Translation. All these episodes have been elaborately described by Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur. Then one day, Srivas Thakur extended an invitation to the Lord. Forward. The Chaitanya Bhagavat, Antya-khanda, chapter 9, gives the following description. One day, Srila Advaita Acharya. Somebody wants to go. One day, Srila Chaitanya, having extended an invitation to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, thought that if the Lord came alone, he would feed him to his great satisfaction. It then so happened that when the other sannyasis were going to Advaita Charya's to take lunch, there was a big rainstorm and he could not reach his house. Thus, according to Advaita Charya's desires, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came alone and accepted prasad. Om Yanati Marundasya Shalakaya Chakshurunidhatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Nirobishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Padamayam Pradhanti Swapadam. So much shallow distinction between what we have now, the opportunity we have now, and as if we're back in the spiritual world. We are in the spiritual world. We are in the spiritual world. We are surrounded, especially those who take the full-time Krishna consciousness. We have the deity, we have the name, we have his prasadam, we have his devotees. So we can tell our ability, our readiness for the spiritual world by just how we deal with these, how we interact now. How much interest do we actually have now in chanting? How much interest do we have now in honouring prasadam? Our relationship will be quite clear by how we do it now and how much we see. Am I doing it in an enjoying mood or am I doing it in a service mood? And we find out, we can see some of the beauty of how these things should be done by the Chaitanya Charitamrta. It elaborates many exchanges of how the chanting should be done, how the taking of prasadam should be done, and the levels of deep spiritual excellence that come from these very simple things. So here we have Advaita Charya serving the Lord prasadam. Prabhupada basically in Krishna's Kaviraj in his texts immediately says, well, this is more elaborated in Vrindavan Das Thakur's Chaitanya Bhagavat. So in the Chaitanya Bhagavat it comes towards the very end of the Anchikanda, the end of the book. The last two chapters of the book is the glories of Advaita Charya, and the very last chapter is the Advaita Pundarak Vijinidhi. It's interesting, in both books, the Chaitanya Bhagavat and Chaitanya Charitamrta, you have a chapter called the glories of Advaita Charya. Both authors entitle a chapter the glories of Advaita Charya. There's a remarkable distinction, difference between the two chapters by both authors. Krishna's Kaviraj chapter, the glories of Advaita Charya, are very much about the tattva of Advaita Charya, what he represents, his relationship with Mahavishnu, how he is the origin of everything, and his relationship with Krishna very much so also. It's quite a very technical chapter. But in Chaitanya Bhagavat, it's much more about the pastimes, the Lila, the activities Advaita Charya did, and some of the very nice exchanges we hear that he performs. So there's a notable difference. This is why Srila Prabhupada gave a little more emphasis and weight to Chaitanya Charitamrta, as it's more, it discusses more the philosophy behind it, and Chaitanya Bhagavat discusses more the Lila. But we like both, we need both. So, and Prabhupada in his purport gives a summary here of the exchange. This was a daily occurrence. People would invite Lord Chaitanya to their house for lunch and feed the Lord. And when the Lord came, he always came with his associates. And the associates were numbered in quite a larger amount of sannyasis. But Advaita Acharya he had this, what you call, spiritual greedy desire, just to serve the Lord on his own, just to have the Lord on his own. And when he had arranged with the Lord, he met the Lord in the morning time, and he offered to the Lord, "Will you please come to my house for prasad?" The Lord said yes. So Advaita Acharya went back and he told his wife, "The Lord's coming for lunch, we have to prepare very nicely." And immediately Sita, Advaita Acharya's wife, she started preparing, getting everything ready. And actually it's interesting, Advaita Acharya personally does all the cooking. it's not his wife doesn't do the cooking, he actually does the cooking and preparation for the Lord, but she's assisting him very nicely. So when they prepared everything, Advaita Chari looks at him, this is all so nice. I wish just Lord Chaitanya on his own would just eat all this. That his associates that come, which we hear, obviously we know would be very, very glorious personalities, but it's a very interesting little expression of a very spiritual desire. Normally we think we're happy to have the Lord and all the Lord's devotees, and that is generally the case, but not absolutely. There is this element of exclusivity in Krishna consciousness, or in relation to Krishna, and we hear that Krishna Krishna is willing to honor this sense of exclusivity. It happens quite a number of times. We know, like, for us, if a senior Vaishnava arrives, everybody's desiring, I could get just a little exchange, or if I just get a little bit of attention from them. We all have it in our heart. We try not to. We try to calm it down. It's like a childish desire. I hope I get the attention of the Swami or Guru Maharaj, and if you do, we're all happy. And so we see it as a little childish, innocently childish, and very, very nice desire. But we kind of see it's a little, a little immature maybe. We should understand the exchange between the Guru and the disciple. It's not something superficial. It's not something that he just gives us some attention and then we feel like I've got the mercy, I've got his blessings. No, they're there all the time on a deeper level by following the instructions. And if Krishna arranges, we get some time. But we all have seen it. We've all experienced that when somebody comes, we all want a little bit of attention. But actually, it actually has a real expression, because when Krishna does things in the spiritual world, very often he does this. He lets everybody know, I'm just for you. It's just me and you. That's all. There's no one else here. Krishna does it a lot. He does it, we hear in the Rasa dance. Everyone thinks Krishna dancing just with them. It's just with them. We hear it happens in the Ratha Yatra. When Lord Chaitanya is dancing, he has 7 parties in the Ratha Yatra parade. Lord Chaitanya manifests in each group, but each group thinks, wow, our group is special. Lord Chaitanya is dancing with us. He's not in the other groups. We must be special. So the Lord reciprocates that mood of exclusivity. It also happens sometimes in the forest when the Krishna's out with the Gopas and they're taking a little break, and all the boys make a little kind of place where Krishna sit down beside them. And they're all doing it. So then Krishna sits down beside them, and each cowboy thinks Krishna's sitting just beside me. He's not aware that Krishna's sitting beside all the other cowboy boys too. So just there's that little excitement, that sweetness of exclusivity. Wow, Krishna's just with me. So it's real. It's a real desire. It's a very beautiful desire, and it all reciprocates. But we also hear that sometimes, if the devotee gets a little carried away with that, even the pure devotees get carried away, Krishna pinches a little attachment off, and we hear he does it with he does in the Rasa dance with Srimati Radharani, but also here in Dwarka in Shri Bhaktam, we're just hearing about Queen Rukmini, that actually he sensed, because Queen Rukmini thought, well, I'm Krishna's principal queen, of all the 16,108 queens, I'm the principal, and Krishna's always in my palace. So she's a little bit proud of that status. So then Krishna has this little pastime where she gets very doesn't go according to plan. She thinks Krishna's leaving her, so she's kind of shocked. And we hear Krishna does this just because there's some little pride. Now this pride we cannot comprehend it. So Krishna's willing to reciprocate with our exclusivity. So Advaita Chari here, he has this desire that I want Lord Chaitanya to come on his own. So when he has this desire, we hear this nice thing about King Indra, Lord Indra, reciprocates. Now normally, most of our pastimes with Indra, especially in the Bhagavatam, Indra doesn't get a very good write-up. His CV in our eyes, especially this involvement, is not very good. He's kind of, mostly we see him as a lusty personality, or getting carried away, or puffed up, or attached, or somewhere like this. We see him in some negative light. But in the Chaitanya Charitamrta, we have a very nice slide here, that he sees, King Indra sees his desire in Advaita Chari's heart, and says, okay, let me serve this devotee, nicely. It's a beautiful desire, so let me serve. So when everybody was going to Dvaitacharya's house, Indra arranged just where all the sannyasis were, not where Lord Chaitanya was, not where Dvaitacharya was, just for, in the path of all the sannyasis coming, this huge thunderstorm, so much so that they were all going to Dvaitacharya's house, then they couldn't get there because they couldn't see their way. Such a heavy storm, you can't imagine. But it didn't happen in Lord Chaitanya's path, and it didn't happen at Dvaitacharya's house. So it's a kind of interesting thing how the weather, even the weather, it's a very personal thing. Where it rains, where it doesn't rain, we understand. It's a good example. It's all very personal. Indra is specifically arranging it, even in the same location. There was such a storm that they couldn't see their way, and they got lost, so they couldn't make it to Dvaitacharya's house. But yet Lord Chaitanya was unimpeded. So Lord Chaitanya turns up and goes, "Where's everyone else?" He's normally. Dvaitacharya said, "Oh, don't you mind? You just sit down and take these nice preparations I've offered for you." And Lord Chaitanya can meet you because he tell, "Oh, this is your desire to just have me here." So Lord Chaitanya appreciated the sentiment of Dvaitacharya. Of course, we hear in Chaitanya Charitamrta that there's a much more extended. Krishna's Kaviraj gives a very detailed description of when Lord Chaitanya was in Dvaitacharya's house. At another time, we have at the beginning of the Madhya Lila, Lord Chaitanya visits the house of Dvaitacharya, and then he's visiting with Lord Nityananda. And then you hear very detailed descriptions of all the food. That's one of the many occasions we hear detailed descriptions about the food that the devotees would cook. And Dvaitacharya invites Lord Chaitanya just for a little rice. I have just cooked a little rice for you. And Lord Chaitanya goes, "Oh, your rice is always the best. Your rice is so nice." So Dvaitacharya appreciates Lord Chaitanya saying this. But then when Lord Chaitanya comes, he walks the room, he sees this mounds and mounds. When you hear the word mounds, but picture large amounts of prasadam all around the room. And Lord Chaitanya thinks, well, this is the offering to the deity. And Lord Chaitanya sits over here, takes an empty plate, and says, "Okay, give me something." And Lord Chaitanya says, No, here's your seat, beside all this prasadam. And Lord Chaitanya goes, "What? Nobody can eat all, who could eat all that? There's so much." And Lord Chaitanya goes, "Where's the prasadam?" Lord Chaitanya is saying, "Is this it? Is this all you're going to give me?" And Lord Chaitanya is thinking, this is ridiculous. I'm a sannyasi, I can't be eating all this. So the two divine personalities were playing with Dvaitacharya. Dvaitacharya was trying to subtly maneuver Lord Chaitanya into eating all this and saying, Stop this trickery of yours. We know you eat so many offerings every day, 6 more offerings in the temple, no problem. You can eat as much as you want. Please give up this game of yours." And Lord Chaitanya is thinking, "I have not eaten in 3 days, and this is all you're giving me?" And he was like chastising Dvaitacharya. I'm this, and this is it. This is no good. So Dvaitacharya had to go in between the two different roles, the games that the Lord Chaitanya and Lord Chaitanya were playing. And then, of course, we hear Lord Chaitanya grabs some rice and throws it on the ground. And a few of those grains just hit the body of Dvaitacharya, who then goes into extreme ecstasy. Which is a nice, little interesting point about prasadam, about the potency of prasadam. Even though we normally think we have to eat prasadam, but prasadam is really potent just by touching it. Just by touching it, Dvaitacharya goes into ecstasy of the remnants of Lord Nityananda. So there's so many nice pastimes, so much Lila about prasadam. So it's extremely important, and therefore the question is, what is prasadam? And there's a very nice, some years ago, His Holiness Sri Ramaswamy wrote an article basically, what is prasadam? And how prasadam is not just a mechanical thing. It's not just putting it in the bowl and ringing the bell and saying the prayers. It's not prasadam. And that's the vidhi, that's the rules that were given to know how to structure our offerings. But we hear repeatedly, of course, that Krishna does not need to eat the food, he needs the devotion. And actually, Krishna doesn't need it, he wants it, he wants our devotion. So, Maharaj has a funny story about how early on when he came to Krishna consciousness, he went to a college program, and the program is advertised as "See matter turn to spirit before your very eyes." This was the catchphrase in the poster. And during the whole talk, this was the talk that the devotee gave. We will, before your very eyes, turn matter into spirit. And so obviously everybody's going, okay, the audience seemed were very much on the edge of their seat. This is very intriguing. How are they going to do this? So after the devotee's talk, then they brought out a plate of boga, and we brought it for the picture of Panchatattva, bowed down around the bed and said the prayers, and turned around and said, there, see, now, matter is turned into spirit before your very eyes. So you can imagine someone quite some people in the audience going, what? What sort of con game is this? But of course, then basically there was no explaining. But as we have an English expression, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. So now you taste this. Now you take it and taste. This is not ordinary. You've maybe eaten this many times, but now taste this, and you'll see how different this is. And this is Lord Chaitanya himself actually says this in the very nice chapter at the end of the CC. The Lord tastes nectar from the lips of Lord Krishna. And there's quite some extensive verses about the glories of Prasadam. And Lord Chaitanya got to Jagannath Mahaprasadam, and he was tasting it, and he was just going on about it. It's just the nectarian taste of it. Because by eating the prasadam, which has been eaten by the Lord, you're tasting the Lord's lips. And Lord Chaitanya said, look at these ingredients, these items, they're just normal items. You've all tasted them before. You tasted rice, you tasted camphor, you tasted vegetable, you tasted these things. But now when you taste them, after being tasted by the Lord, they're just so beautiful, they're just completely different. And we all know that, we all experienced it. I think I don't know if everybody remembers their first prasadam. I certainly do. It was in Radha Govinda in Nishrat, and I was given a sweet of some sort. And I think the first time I couldn't speak for about a half an hour. I remember we left the temple, and I don't remember saying anything. And I remember sitting in the car, just staring into the void. What was that? What was it? It was just like something just completely different than I ever had tasted before. And I just entered my mouth. And it was just incredible. What was it? I can't remember what the sweet was, but I just know it was prasadam. So when we first, especially for those who come to ISKCON for the first time, we eat it, it's just something so incredibly special. So the ingredients, it changes. So prasadam, it has this, so the different, what is prasadam? What does it really mean? What qualifies something as prasadam? And there's a number of aspects to it. We could go into some detail about the different aspects to it. And the first one is that it's an offering. Prasadam is an offering. It's a vehicle how we express our devotion to the Lord. So we prepare something and we give it. So to the degree that we actually put our devotion into it, the Lord accepts it. And Syamananda in his article, he says he categorizes prasadam in three categories: the impure offering, the pure offering, and the offering saturated with love. And basically, impure offering is when you bring something, but you're expecting something back from the Lord. You're giving something because this will make the Lord happy, therefore I can ask something. The Lord wants something, I'm giving it to him, but I want something back. Or sometimes we offer things that we know we want to eat, or we're offering just the Lord. But basically, it's our pleasure is priority, not the Lord. The pure offering is that it's just the Lord, we're thinking just the Lord's pleasure, especially in relation to worshipping the deities. This is when Krishna eats, and somebody has to cook, and so I'm eating for the Lord. This is when he's scheduled to eat, and this is what he eats. So let me just cook for the Lord's pleasure. That's a pure offering. It's done meditating on the Lord. But then the offering saturated with love. Of course, in that pure offering, it's all about, there's prescriptions how we do it, and there's guidelines how we follow. But then the pure offering, there's no prescriptions, no guidelines, no nothing. It's just whatever you're giving, it's so saturated with love, the Lord eats it. And we hear this happen in the Krishna and the Cowherd Boys when, if like we want to know something is good, we have to follow some system. When I give a cooking class, when I tell people, we don't taste anything until we make this the offering. They go, how do you know it's any good? I said, well, there's science, there's rules that you follow. But the Cowherd Boys, if they want to know if it's any good, how do they do that? Of course, they can buy it and then put it in the Lord. Okay, it's tasty. And they put it in the Lord's mouth. that's how they know something tasty. But also we have this night, this Lila of the Lord once visited Vidura in his house, and Vidura had these bananas, and Vidura very nicely peels a banana, throws the banana, and gives the peel to the Lord. And because even though the peel is not something offered to the Lord, but it's because Vidura did it with such love, there was so much devotion in the offering. The Lord ate the banana and tasted deep nectar out of that offering. And we also hear with Raghunath Das Goswami, when he was performing his extreme austerities, the rice that was burnt, then thrown out of the ditch, then went rotten, and then he had to peel off the rotten parts and just rescue some of the edible rice. When the devotees heard about this, first Sri Damodar heard about it, he came and tasted this rice and said, Raghunath, how are you keeping such nectar to yourself? And Sri Damodar went and told the Lord, Raghunath Das has got this nectar rice that he's eating. So Lord Chaitanya came and also said, Raghunath, give me some of this rice that you're eating. Which is interesting because Raghunath wasn't offering the rice, but because of his mood in honouring the rice. Honouring of it. So that's the next part of it, is that so we are the quality of our prasadam depends upon how much devotion for the offering, how much the Lord accepts it, which by the way the Lord's not obliged. It's not a mechanical thing, the Lord's not obliged. I personally think if something goes wrong, the Lord might if somebody offers us something that's burnt, not cooked or wrong, we do it. Sorry, I'm not eating that. So Krishna too has that liberty not to accept everything. It's just put in front of him. But then the first thing is that how much we offer with love, but then how much we receive it with love. It's just as much an important element. How much we receive it with love will determine how much we're taking prasadam and how much we're able to receive the Lord's mercy. So when we give an offering, we're giving our service, the Lord gives it back to us. He's not giving us service, He's giving us His mercy. The whole thing is completely different. It's the same thing. I think it's a plate of food, externally to the material, the mundane eyes. For us, it's an expression of love, and for the Lord, it's an expression of mercy. So then, how the attitude we take that mercy in will determine how much we can receive the mercy of the Lord. So this brings up the question how we honour prasadam, what level of love we honour it in. Not just the level of love we offer, and the level of love that we honour will determine how much we benefit from prasadam, how much we receive the Lord's mercy. So Raghunath Das, he was like, these were burnt grain, burnt and rotten rice, but he was eating with such love. Also, there's a nice, when Lord Chaitanya, in that chapter, the Lord tastes nectar, this was an offering from the Jagannath temple. Now, we understand, even then, now, the pundits in the Jagannath Puri temple, while they are glorious personalities, have some strange ideas. And especially in ISKCON, we're not allowed in, even though we are avid and enthusiastic worship of Lord Jagannath, we're not allowed in. Somebody who complete debauch, but if they're Indian bodied, they're allowed in. So, you see, somewhat strange like that. But when Lord Chaitanya tasted an offering from the Jagannath Puri temple, he tasted it in such a wonderful way that such ecstasy he went into in tasting it. So his capacity to appreciate it wasn't limited by the offering or those who offered it. He had such a deep mood in honouring the Lord's remnants that his ability to taste it surpassed that of the offering. So, because we tend to place so much emphasis on the person who offers, the person who cooks, to determine the quality of the prasadam. But we have to take more responsibility in how nice we're honouring the prasadam, how much in the service mood we're in when we take it to be the Lord's remnants, Lord's mercy. And we see this constantly going on in Chaitanya Charitamrta, this nectar of offering the Lord and receiving the Lord's mercy, both of which can be done with great depths of devotion. So as we go on in our spiritual life, we never change our activities. Our activities remain the same. We chant Hare Krishna, we dance and we take prasadam, but it's all about the quality of our chanting, the quality of our dancing, and the quality of how much we take the prasadam. Where it goes from something that we do for our pleasure, something that we do for the Lord's pleasure. We eat for the pleasure of the Lord. That's the meditation we aspire for. And we usually often make reference to this point that when in the highest state, we shouldn't think we're honouring prasadam, but we sit down to be honoured by prasadam. That's Saraswati's mood. That's the mood. We're here to honour, because a devotee is just serving. A devotee just serves, and everything he does is all we do our service, and that's nice. Then we chant Krishna as service. So we honour prasadam as service. And that's what we aspire. It's not so easy to do, but that's what we aspire. And that's the bell for 8:30. So on that note, I shall follow that. Are there any quick questions on this? So I think, yes.
I have one question. Can you tell us something more about how taking prasadam and like?
Yeah, there's so much. Definitely, there's the devotees always say when Srila Prabhupada took prasadam, they would use many words like it was a very meditative thing, very prayerful thing. Even if Prabhupada was like many times he was in the middle of some very difficult, some controversy, some problem, like then he would sit down and the devotees could see that there's everything just stopped. Srila Prabhupada just turned to serve Krishna this way. He'd just sit down and serve Krishna. And most of the time he took prasadam on his own, because it was just such a personal exchange, such an intimate exchange. Devotees sometimes say that it was very intimate. Prabhupada had such a vision that this was Krishna directly, that sometimes, I'm not sure it was Hari Sori or Shruti Kirti, they would say that when Prabhupada took prasadam, they didn't like being there. Sometimes they would stay and wait for Prabhupada, maybe ask for something. But no, they felt, I have to leave. I'm interrupting an intimate thing between the pure devotee and the Lord, because there was such a sense of intimacy where Prabhupada took prasadam so meticulously, so carefully, so consciously. And I know myself, definitely a big problem is just to do it in a conscious way. We're so eager just like to fill the belly or to satisfy the tongue that we actually don't give the full level of conscience that we required to what we're eating. So Srila Prabhupada was extremely conscious in the act, and it was very much an act of service. And sometimes, specifically, what I just one point about Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, when he received Jagannath Mahaprabhu prasadam, he paid Dandavata obeisance to it and circumambulated 3 times before he honoured it. That's how the etiquette, the level of respect he would offer to Mahaprabhu. So again, we know sometimes we have this over-familiar tendency to come in, because in ISKCON, one of our obstacles, one of our drawbacks is not becoming familiar with the over-opulence of our society, the opulence of Christians everywhere, devotees everywhere, and so is prasadam everywhere. I always joke that we may have many problems in our society, many problems in our temples, but usually going hungry is not one of them. we don't go hungry. There's so much prasadam. So we tend to, a drawback there is that we tend to become lackadaisical or over familiar with prasadam, treated in a casual way or disrespectful. But we will know that our conscience will be improving, and even though there's so much prasadam, we have this very respectful attitude towards it. And so externally we honour it in many ways. Offering prayers to it, bowing down to it, not stepping over it, eating all of it when it's put before us, things like this. So Srila Prabhupada did those things. Srila Prabhupada was exemplary in showing the mood, the intimate and deep mood of how we honour prasadam. And I just one little small funny story about somebody tells about where Prabhupada would eat a banana. Do you know how Prabhupada would eat a banana? Because like you eat a banana, you got the skin on the banana, you got to get the skin off. So normally you have to get the banana peel the skin, right? As we know in Vaishnava culture, this is the muchi hand. You don't use left hand. So Prabhupada would not use his left hand with the banana. He'd take the banana with his teeth and peel off the skin of the banana like this, and then eat the banana and throw away the skin. He would never use his left hand. So I think it seems like, but Prabhupada is not esoteric way of intimacy, in very practical ways he would show us. This is prasadam, we always respect it. Your left hand is also considered a contaminated hand. You don't touch prasadam with your left hand. So Prabhupada was also very, 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 very meticulous, very expert in showing that even externally as well as internally, giving a sense of the mood of how much we have to really honour, appreciate, respect Krishna. Okay. So just stop at the job. Chaitanya Charitamrta ki jai. Prasadam ki jai. Prabhupada just started some schools.